Hi, everyone. Happy Disability Pride Month. My name is Nico Meyering. I'm a white man with parted blonde hair, glasses with large dark rims. I'm wearing a black t-shirt and I'm seated in front of a purple background. I'm here today with Dennis Tran. Dennis, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Dennis Tran. I use pronoun he, him. I am currently wearing a goes t-shirt, a black glasses, and black hair, and a blurred background. I am a DEIA advocate and social impact storyteller.
Thank you so much. Dennis, what does disability pride mean to you?
I guess this Disability Pride Month, like for me, I never really were familiar with Disability Pride Month before. It was just this being involved with the disability community this past year, past 2 years now. Like it's been like a journey for me to understand what disability was and what does mean, and it kind of came at a time when I finally accepted my disability and understand what it means to be disabled because I was never really at a place where I accepted my disability or felt very ashamed upon accepting it, and I had to really took upon a thing like where there was nothing to be ashamed about, and just really accepting ways me to live with disability, and just like it's just a part of who I am.
Valid. I love that you're working on breaking down your internalized ableism and that you're identifying more closely with your needs, because then you can also meet your needs. Thank you for your answer. What are some lessons that you've learned on your disabled journey?
I think something I learned is like, like there's nothing wrong with me to begin with as a disabled person. I think it's like based on systematic and like how society view on disabled person makes this a person seem disabled, but I think like it's really just a part of person where someone could just be born into a disability, or they could acquire a disability later on, or just kind of like genetic based on like how people acquire. Like for my next cases, for me as a partially blind person with neurodivergent with autistic and ADHD, like it was something like I came to upon realize that it was all based on my genetic traits that I acquired, where I knew it, where not early on or not. I was diagnosed late, partially blind in a state where I was diagnosed with glaucoma in a very severe state at the age of 17. That very pretty much like damaged my left vision, so I don't see out eye in my left eye anymore. So, and I still have partial blindness on my right eye. And 10 years later, like in 2020, I was diagnosed with autism for the first time, and I had no idea what that means. But through that process, I was able to connect the dots and connect my understanding of myself and like what why I was appear to be different from everyone else, and how I approach life through a neurotypical lens when I'm actually neurodivergent, and just understanding that aspect of it, and realization of like, like it's just how society shape and inform someone what disability is, and pretty much put us all in a box when we are just like very much, it's not actually black and white, and it's like pretty much a spectrum, whereas if it's like blindness is also a spectrum, and it's like being neurodivergent, being autistic is also a spectrum. It's like not necessarily you're like anyone else.
Valid. I really identify with the things you're saying about judging myself and judging my life based on able-bodied standards, and coming to realize that as disabled people, those standards don't really apply to me. It's not a best fit. Ultimately, no one is responsible for living our lives except ourselves. So ultimately, our standards and our expectations for ourselves matter far more than what structures may already be in place. Thank you for your answer. I want to turn it kind of around now. What are some things that you had to unlearn, shall we say, as a result of coming to accept your disabled status?
I pretty much I had to kind of come to this term of like, my disability is not something, it's not a bad word, it's not shameful, and it's like something like I can embrace on. Like for me, it's like I always thought like, oh, like autism or being acquired disability means something I lack, or something I because I have partially blind, or I'm less than, where I can achieve less, or I was based on survival mentality, where it's like people teach me like, oh, like just because you have disability, you're being put into like certain jobs, certain career because of your disability, where society just limits you. But I kind of have to shift that mindset of like, like from a place of like, feeling ashamed or guilted based on my disability, as opposed to embracing it as accepting it as like, I am so young with my disability and I have so much potential. I got through life with 20 plus years of experience with disability, like just go to school, college, I made it. Like it's these things were difficult for me. I went through it and I made it, I got through it. And so for me it's to be in a situation where, like I felt like, like society or job, corporate environment, they still take into consideration of like, yeah, let's just let them make this spreadsheet, let them do this, but we're like, I done all this and I am so capable of doing more, so I don't limit myself to what society expected me to do. So for me to say that, like having to unlearn all that and say like I am enough the way I am, and to be able to like shift that mentality of like surviving to basically thriving mentality of like and seeing representation on screen and like the media that show like there's more people who are doing who are trailblazer and who are just doing amazing things with their disability, and it's possible. And it's like it really does take that shift in perspective and shift in mindset.
That sounds fantastic. It also sounds like you've been making a lot of progress in how you view yourself in relation with your disability and how far you've come with your acceptance journey. What is next for you? Like, what are your next goals in terms of living your best disabled life?
I guess my main goal is like first like to continue to advocate for like to breaking down the stigma of like like accessibility, make sure inclusive environment and more accessible for everyone, but also like to kind of challenge the stigma of like disabled person like has to face because of traditional stereotype of them, and just
Mhm.
be able to like they can't do this or they can't do this, or like I want to show that it's possible and like there's a pathway for it.
That's excellent. I love to hear it. Thank you for the work of championships that you do. Thank you for trying to make the disabled experience just a little bit better for the folks that come after us. I'm a big believer in like disability mentorship and things like that. My last planned question is, what do you want able-bodied people to know about disabled life or the disability experience?
I think like it's important to be inclusive, to be understanding, and to listen to what disabled people have to say and understand things from their perspective and their own experiences. And experience like you'll be surprised at what you can learn from work.
Absolutely. I think a lot of things would change for the better if we as a people began listening more to disabled people and let disabled people set policy and guidelines. Dennis, thank you so much for joining me today. And I am someone who also believes in elevating disabled talent, right? So this is your chance to give a shout out to any projects you've completed, projects you've got going on, any place people can find you on social media. This is your chance to toot your own horn. This is your soapbox. So where can people find you online?
I guess like for me, I run a podcast called Asian Lifing, so people can follow my Instagram account for that at Asian Lifing.
Mhm.
And like I also like kind of been like a part of like a diversity leadership collective where we kind of met. So that's also been a rich network. And also like I've been part of Respectability, kind of nonprofit organization that's been like providing apprenticeship program for disabled folks who kind of get them into job and placement opportunities. So that's the opportunity for them to be a part of. And I'm also a part of Boss Fan Foundation, which is like kind of uplifting the low vision blind community, and kind of like we're also like hosting events and live house screening fair for the community, but also to be able to like build curriculum for to get people to think about like design product and services and universal design for the disabled community to make sure product and services are inclusive. And of course, like I am part of the Asian Americans with Disability Initiative. We're kind of to uplifting the next generation of youth with disability, Asian American disability, to kind of like uplifting that. And I'm just pretty much like all around like with mental health and disability services.
It sounds like you're very busy and with a lot of impressive and worthy actions as well. Thank you for all you do, Dennis.
Mm.
And thank you for being here with me as well.
Yeah,
Have
thank
a
you.
fantastic rest of your day.
You too.